yes, INEC result viewing portal, IREV, and what channels have also done, the ERA, the election result analysis dashboard. It means that I can sit here and see the result of a particular of my unit on the result of your unit. So in 2023, political parties that have the capacity to establish situation rooms can know the total number of votes they have amassed before even the result is announced. So power has returned to the people. The polling unit has become the center of the universe, because the guideline of the election says that the assistant polling officer, who is the last man at the polling unit, has no business with the ward collation officer. So he sends his result to the cloud. That other person is given a password. He downloads his result and collates. And the law says no result can change from what came from the polling unit. In the past, collation centers, they can just manipulate the result from the polling unit is different from what is moving from the ward collation center to the local government collation center to the state collation center. That has been taken care of. And the 2022 Electoral Act has what I usually describe, I don't know if that English exists, but I call it the dinosauric effect, because it will extinct some politicians that have never done proper election. Now, coming back to the question you asked, yes, the debate will be live on all radio stations in Akwa Ibom State and all television stations in Akwa Ibom State. We are at advanced stage negotiating for a national television to also air the debate. For us, the debate will be strictly on invitation, and we're saying to the people that the hall, we're only making provision to accommodate 500 people, and bulk of those 500 people are inactive participants. Nobody will be asking a question there apart from the anchor, the moderator of the debate. Every other question will come to us before the debate. There's a question bank that is available. If they join us on our Facebook, Facebook page, they would see the links to send questions to. So the debate will be live on radio and television. We are saying people should just watch from the comfort of their home from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. 3 hours of total engagement of those people who want to be governors.
All right, I would have loved to ask another question, but we'll take a quick pause here and head out to first recess. When we come back, I'd like to get to hear more about the TV stations that will be covering the event live and other media houses. And of course, that would serve as a way of further letting the people know where they can tune to. But right about now, we'll take a first recess. When we come back, the People's Parliament will continue. Please stay with us.
Good morning. Many thanks for staying tuned. This is the news update at 9. SARB sues President Muhammadu Buhari over electricity tariff hike. Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel calls on the Central Bank of Nigeria to extend deadline for the return of old Naira note. Kono begs the federal government to pay all lecturers in the country. Governorship candidate of YPP, Basi Albert, promises to turn any local government area into major rice belt to service local markets and exportation. Governorship candidate Basi Albert pledges to establish fish processing facility in Una local government area. On the foreign scene, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson makes trip to Ukraine. In sport, Arsenal beat Manchester United 3-2 to go 5 points clear in EPL. And that's the news updates for this hour. I am Dara Udoma.
Before, when I call my guy, before I talk, my man, how far? I go here.
You have less than 1 minute for your call.
Also waiting, but with Airtel double, now steady relating.
My guy, house, our area, our everything.
Stay connected for longer with the Airtel double plan that gives you 70 minutes talk time plus 3 gigabytes data for just 1,000 Naira. Dial *141#. Select my area now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
They are the geniuses, the legends. They are the conquerors of our world, achieving feats larger than life. and leaving us motivating peers to excel in all our chosen paths like they did before us. People in History, your 1-hour detailed documentary on the life and times of great heroes and heroines.
The Bible says there's pleasure in sin for a season.
Abby and Jean, who later became the Peaches.
Dr. Alex Ekweme is outstandingly brilliant. He's very patriotic and very loyal.
Comes your way every Mondays, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You can listen to any past episode of People in History just by logging on to our website, www.planet101fm.ng, and click on our podcast to listen to the past episodes. People in History, exclusive to Planet 101.1 FM. Attention, please. This is a boarding call for all intending passengers on Ibom Air Flight 101.1, departing for Planet FM. Flight time is first 4 p.m. Please proceed to check-in.
To come on board this flight, tune in to Planet 101.1 FM every Thursday at 4 p.m. to be a part of the program Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air. This half-hour program is highly interactive and informative, with phone-in sessions and live stream on our social media pages. Fun trivia games with loads of exciting prizes to be won. Touchdown Thursday with Ibom Air is a public enlightenment program designed to curb misinformation about Ibom Air's modus operandi and receive customers' feedback. This program is in partnership with TAF Media Group. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard. Cabin crew, you may now commence your in-flight duties.
You fit to buy your phone today and you go pay later. iPhones today, both new ones and not used ones. Samsung phones today, Tecno, Itel, Oppo, Infinix, Redmi, Nokia, and other latest phones and accessories. Music box, laptop, liquid screen guard for to protect your phone from breakage. They repair phones, so both software and hardware with the home delivery services within Uyo. Divine Ugo Communication for anything we concern phones and accessories. You must have join to confirm. Divine Ugo Communication. Them day for number 1 Ikote Bini Road, opposite Ibom Plaza, Uyo Akwa Ibom Stage, or make you call 080-680-93884 or 090-923-12971. Our shop they open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. from Monday go reach Saturday.
The Nigeria Union of Journalists, Akwa Ibom State Council, in partnership with key stakeholders, corporate organizations, and CSOs, present the 2023 Akwa Ibom Governorship Debate, a platform to hear and prove blueprints, programs, and policies of governorship candidates. Date, Sunday, 29 January 2023. Venue, Ibom Icon Hotels and Golf Resort. Time, 4 p.m. The debate will be broadcast live on 11 radio and 6 television stations. Attendance strictly on invitation. Akwa Ibom 2023 Governorship Debate, redefining the standard of political participation in Akwa Ibom State. Anyekan Udofia, Chairman, NUJ Political Committee, announcer.
It's the 16th plenary session we're on the floor of the House today. We're focusing on the anticipated Akwa Ibom 2023 governorship debate, with the role the media has to play, the expectations of the people, and the politicians and political parties who would be participating in the debate. And we have here with us in the House the chairman of the NUJ Political Committee, Comrade Anekan Udofia, who's been filling us through expectations ahead of that debate. And later on, we get to talk about the face-off between the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, as well as banks in the country over disputes with the Naira shortage ahead of the deadline set by the CBN for old Naira notes to be returned. And the 2023 campaigning, we look at the APC government and the big questions surrounding failed promises on areas of security, electricity, fuel scarcity, as well as food sufficiency, among others. We'll be hoping to get your reactions on this in the course of the program, so feel free to reach out to us on all the platforms we'll be dishing out in the course of plenary today, Mr. Speaker.
Well, I know that at this point in time, Akwa Ibom would probably want to hear the listed radio houses and television stations that they can tune to be part of the Akwa Ibom 2023 governorship debate. So I'll come back to you, Comrade Aniek, and let Akwa Ibom know where they can run to.
Okay, let me start from Home Advantage. Planet FM is one of them. Tankshill is a station that is also going to run the debate live. Spectrum TV. Then the other radio stations in Akwa Ibom State, every other radio station in Akwa Ibom State will be running the debate live. And every other television station in Akwa Ibom State, NTA, ABN, AKBC, the TV and radio will broadcast the debate live. And Atlantic FM, Comfort FM, Redemption FM, the entire radio stations in Akwa Ibom State. We had gone on a tour talking to the head and management of the station, and we've also sought their partnership, and they've assured us that they will support what we are doing. It's an Akwa Ibom project, and the beauty of it is how the radio station, the broadcast houses have embraced it. You know, when people hear the number of our jingles playing on Planet FM, Tankshill, Spectrum TV, they say this committee is spending so much money. But you and I know that Planet and TAF Media Group has done that for us at no cost, free of charge, because they also understand that this is a project for Akwa Ibom. It's their own contribution to the debate, and we are delighted that we didn't need to go and look for billions to organize the governorship debate, because these radio stations understood very clearly that if we're under pressure to raise money to fund the debate, it's going to put us on a lot of, it's going to make us maybe at some point want to compromise. I mean, there are times when we thought, oh, if I spoke to a partner that has been doing debate in Nigeria. They've been in the forefront of doing debate, and they said, look, why don't you levy all the governorship candidates equally? That way you can raise money to do the debate. The total budget for this debate is 19.4 million, and we've sourced that money without asking any political party nor any governorship candidate. We've not only stopped at that. We've not asked any well-known government contractor for support, or any company that seemed to have benefited from the government, nor any politician for support. We've looked for money from partners. We've also had a situation where we've gone out of the country. Akisan USA is part of our sponsor.
Wow.
Yes, Ibom People's Congress USA is part of our sponsor. We've gone outside the shores of this country to tell. I just about a few days ago, I engaged some diasporans to say, look, this is a project that would reduce the volume of remittance, because one of the challenge that we have is that when they talk about diaspora remittance, they talk about something in the region of 30 billion per annum. This remittance is more than 25 billion is for welfare economy, and the diasporans are remitting this money to ensure that their people are living well. If they contribute to having a good government in Nigeria, it will reduce the remittance that they have done to service welfare. It will become a remittance for investment. So it concerns them. I had a lot of them that have engaged that the Bocano is owned by Akwa Ibom citizen who lives in the US. His name is Bobby Onofiok, and he's identified with what we are doing. His company is one of the sponsors, and he said, look, I understand the pressure that we go through to meet the needs of our people, and so we have to be deliberate. And when I spoke to the Akisan president, the international president, Mr. Itoro, he was excited about the fact that we were coming to do this. And the good thing is that when I speak to these diasporans, I tell them that, look, as a chairman of this committee, you have met me before. You saw me in 2021. My wife and I went to the Akisan convention and presented a paper on how the diasporans can rejig and tweak their remittance to begin to focus on investment. And we spoke at that convention. And so I told those people, if I could come down to the US to tell you how we can change the narrative in Akwa Ibom State in Nigeria, then I'm also saying that for this project that I'm doing, I need you people to be involved. And so we've had some of them come together and say, okay, we'll throw a few dollars to the committee and to get this debate going. We would achieve one of the greatest and biggest debates in the history of Nigeria in Akwa Ibom State. Well organized, that the invitation, it's strictly an invitation, and not just putting out the invitation cards. The invitation cards have security code that when you get there, they scan it, it will reveal your seat number, it will reveal your zone. We're using a LED a digital multimedia screen that is about 24 feet by 10 feet. And it will cover the massive backdrop. It will serve as the backdrop for that debate. And what it will also do for us is that the Akisan president, who would not be able to come for the debate, will speak via Zoom to the people. He will give his address via Zoom. And so we put a lot of things in place. We took it to Ibom Icon. Of course, that venue doesn't come cheap. And because we wanted some measure of exclusivity, and we also wanted the governorship candidates to feel very safe. And so on our part as a planning committee, we've put in the best in terms of security and all that. Even when we applied for, we got a security outfit to ensure that people don't get crashed and people don't get into the hall. We've still written to the Commissioner of Police to give us security, to provide security for that event. So we are ready, and we are acting on behalf of Akwa Ibom people to tell them that government can work. We in our little space, this is our own government, and how we're running it. We're running it with a high level of accountability. Every money that this committee has received, we have made public to the NUJ, and the NUJ knows every single dime we have received and how it has been spent. And at the end of this debate, this committee is going to present a public account of all the monies that we have received and how it is spent, and if something is left, we'll state what has been left. Because when people from diaspora give you money, they are in a society where people account for money, and if we fail, then it is just going to be business as usual. Things can work in Nigeria. It takes people who understand that, look, just one single action can throw you into limelight. I give you an example of the man who saw money. Somebody forgot money in his car. He took the money and returned it. And what happened? A house was bought for him in Abuja. He was given a national honor, and a lot of things have been done for him. More than that money if he had kept it. So there is a price, a very painful price for integrity. But when the result comes, it outwits that immediate gain that you wanted to get.
And that's a message that Akwa Ibomites need to take to heart this morning and ponder on it. I'll come to you, House Leader, to take us through some of the comments we have on our Facebook page. And of course, the phone lines are open on 0902-223-1011 or 0817-624-8565. House Leader.
Yes, let's go to Facebook, where we have lots of reactions to today's discussion. And Parliamentarian Hope Moore Jr. Says, this governorship debate is awesome, but it shouldn't be a yardstick to determine how competent they are. What we need is someone who will change the story of the state positively. This state is not... Okay, the story of the states is not a treasure for some cabal to keep on controlling like their personal business. The youths must have a rethink and vote for development. The CBN were not ready for this Naira change. They dived into the project without plans and survey because the new notes are not in circulation. Thank you very much. Samuel Iwok says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. Getting applauded during debate due to great points doesn't really translate to reality. I've seen so many eloquent political debaters ending up providing very little. For me, we should all consider people's track record, their antecedents, body language, and most importantly, their characters. Bro John says the governorship debate is a good omen, but how many political parties have done their campaign in Akwa Ibom State for people to know their manifestos at the grassroots? Hence the need for political parties in the state to know if they're not financially buoyant to stand major parties. They can merge to form a formidable force structurally. Okay, thank you very much. Nonya Idiom says, good morning, parliamentarians. Okay, I think this one is in response to the bank issue. Let's go to the debate matter. It says, Akwa Ibom State governorship debate. Please, all the candidates should be asked the same question during the debate. The NUJ political committee chairman. I wonder, what's the level of questioning? What's the line of questioning we are expecting, in the course of the debate, without giving anything away?
All right, I think we've also watched several debates, studied several debates that have been going on. We saw one that was a town hall meeting, and it degenerated to a point where a presidential candidate was exchanging words with a spokesperson of another political party. It was the height of disgrace for even both of them, the presidential candidate and the party spokesperson. And so we decided at that point that nobody would ask questions from the audience. There will be no clapping. The audience, the governorship candidates that have been invited have been given only permission to bring 10 people. And those 10 people we've stated: the party chairman, the publicity secretary, the spokesperson of the campaign, the DG, and the deputy governorship candidate. The other 5 is at liberty to choose where he wants to bring, whether it be the wife or friends. And you would now find out that in the hall we have equal representation. Every political party that has been invited has just 10 participants. The rest are partners. NLC has their slot, NSE has their slot, different partners have their slot. Now for the debate, there is a guideline, and that guideline will be sent to the governors ahead. This is the format that is going to take. They are not running for governor of each other. They are running for governor of Akwa Ibom State. And so question 1 goes through all the candidates. They answer in the order of 1 to 7. Question 1, every of the candidate answers the same question, and then we start question 2 from the last candidate to the first candidate. We start question 3 from the second candidate to the last candidate. And for the first round of questions, all the candidates will have the opportunity to answer same question, and for the first round they will also have the opportunity to be the first to start each question. And so that's what we have done that would give fairness. And we would not, this debate is not the debate to start talking about whether you're qualified to run as governor. As long as you have your party ticket, you're already qualified. So we're not coming there to talk about qualification to be a candidate. We're talking about issues that concern Akwa Ibom. Issues such as education, issues such as job creation, issues such as health, issues such as economy. We want you to speak to the problem of Akwa Ibom State and not the problem of any individual. And so that debate would not allow any personal attack. No matter how prepared you are, your point must be about Akwa Ibom. It's not going to, nobody is going to ask. In fact, that's why we said there should be, the question should come to the question bank. For instance, if you send in a question and ask a question like, were you in charge of the violence that took place in this? That kind of question will not go on the debate. That's not what we are there for. Look, the problem of this nation is so much, and it is just because we have shifted from what should be the narrative, what should be the discourse, and the things that predominate our discourse, it leaves the people worse off. And so this 2-3 hours of live broadcast, the debate proper is for 2 hours, and the other plenaries will be done. We cannot afford to be on live radio to be talking about what is not an issue. And that's why one of the challenges we had initially, until things began to take shape, was that governorship candidates were now telling us that if this person doesn't come, I won't come. And I said, that is the height of reducing the obligation to the Akwa Ibom people. No governorship candidate is running because of his opponent. Is running to be governor of Akwa Ibom State. And even if you are the only person standing on that podium, Akwa Ibom people want to hear you. And so it shouldn't be about. There was a time that the Labour Party presidential candidate, the DG, released a statement and said that if other candidates do not come for debate, the presidential candidates will not go. I have the privilege of talking with the DJ, and I sent him a message. I said, you have reduced the importance of talking to Nigerians to the other candidates. And I asked the simple question: is the Labour Party presidential candidate running for the Republic of, I called the name of the other presidential candidate, is there such a republic? It's a Republic of Nigeria. And so for the governorship candidate, when you have an opportunity to talk to Akwa Ibom people, it shouldn't be a problem. And even we made it clear that we would not act ultra virus. We would not act against the law. And that's why for us as a debate committee, we're excited that the appeal court had granted the APC candidate his status as the person on the ballot, and the appeal court has said that he's the rightful candidate of the APC. And the man was excited about it, and he reached out. He reached out to the debate committee. I personally spoke to the candidate of the APC, and he said, look, now I am a candidate. Would your debate committee say I would not come on the podium? I said, look, you are coming on the podium. We do not have a right to stop you. And so it is going to be a robust conversation. But first of all, it is an individual race.
Well, very, very passionate there, and Akwa Ibom people can relate with the commitment of the committee for the 2023 governorship debate. And the phone lines have been buzzing, but I had to allow you land before taking some of the calls that we have. So let's welcome contributions from parliamentarians. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary. Good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you very much. Thank you.
On our own, women. And to come out. The person who that policy must be done. And we must.
God bless you too. Many thanks for joining us. And of course, we must dakada to do the will of God. And the NUJ is sure leading the way for Akwa Ibom to truly dakada, because it all comes down to who becomes a leader. And when we have the right leader, as the Bible has said, when the right man is in power, then the land flourishes. We'll head to the second motion that we have on the floor of the House, but you can still ask questions bordering on the issue of the NUJ as it concerns you as a parliamentarian, and of course your constituent. And yes, 2023 has been a lot of actions and going back and forth. But let's talk about the new Naira note, where the CBN and banks are having some kind of going back and forth. Now, the CBN has come out to say that there is enough new Naira note for the banks to dispense. Meanwhile, as of this morning, most banks across the different states, also in Akwa Ibom State, are still dispensing the old Naira note. Recall last week that the CBN came out to say that they were going to sanction banks who had not put the new Naira note in their ATM machines. And the bank said, we are waiting for the sanction. And so far, we're yet to see anything coming from that hacks. Let's come back to you, House Leader, for some of the comments bordering on this particular item.
Yes, let's head back to our Facebook page for reactions with regards to the CBN. This was the CBN were not ready for the Naira change. They dived into the project without plans and survey because the new notes are not in circulation. That's coming from parliamentarian Hope or more junior. And Samuel Luke says, CBN are acting as if it was the masses who asked them to change the note. This is the highest financial institution in the land, and I did expect to see such level of commitment from them. And Bro John says CBN rather should know that orientation for Nigerians to comply with the 31st deadline is still ongoing. Hence the need for banks to mix the old notes with the new ones for better circulation. And this one says, for banks battling over Naira shortage ahead of deadline, CBN should go back to produce more redesigned Naira notes. And the deadline should be extended because as it stands, Bank's ATM is still dispensing the old currency. All right, that's from Nonye Idion. And Udemega Ebu says, on shortages of new currency, it's not a surprise to me because here in Nigeria, we have good policies, but implementation of the policies is always a problem. While the Komabasi edit says CBN policy was good, but poorly executed. When both counter and ATM still paying old notes, the CBN will be left with no option than to extend the deadline.
Very well stated there. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Good morning.
I have not at the end of the day, really that they should say at the end of the day, that is the only.
All right, many thanks for joining us. And of course, at this point in time, we'll have to take another quick pause and head out to bring you the BBC The World in 2 minutes and a few more commercials. When we come back, we'll be continuing with our discussions on the floor of the House. Please stay with us.
Russia's Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov is due to hold talks in South Africa with his counterpart. It's his first visit to the country since the invasion of Ukraine, which Pretoria has refused to condemn. South Africa is planning to hold joint naval exercises with Russia and China next month. The chairman of Britain's governing Conservative Party, Nadim Zahawi, is resisting calls to step down after it emerged he paid a penalty to resolve a dispute with tax officials last year when he was Chancellor. The opposition Labour Party says his position is untenable. The authorities in Peru say all but one of the nearly 200 people arrested for setting up a protest camp in San Marcos University on Saturday have been released. Large parts of Pakistan are without electricity after a breakdown in the national grid. Cities including Karachi and Islamabad suffered power cuts. The energy minister said electricity would soon be restored. Japan's finance minister Sunichi Suzuki has warned that the country's finances are becoming increasingly precarious. The country's public debt is more than twice the value of its yearly economic output. Australia is to speed up plans to deploy advanced sea mines to protect its ports and sea routes amidst a growing presence of China in the Pacific. Reports in the Australian media say the weapons will cost nearly $700 million. People living in England and Wales are being urged to call for an ambulance only for genuine emergencies. Thousands of health service staff are walking out today in a dispute about pay. BBC News.
The world in 2 minutes.
Before, when I call my guy, before I talk, my man, how far? I go here.
You have less than 1 minute for your call.
Also waiting. But with Airtel double, now steady relating.
My guy, house, our area, our everything.
Stay connected for longer with the Airtel Double plan that gives you 70 minutes talk time plus 3 gigabytes data for just 1,000 Naira. Dial *141#. Select my area now. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Dear listener, we exist because you're always there, and without you, there is no us. We appreciate your sustained loyalty and remain committed to creating content tailored to meet your everyday media needs. And on this note, starting this January, you will be noticing some changes in our programming. Planet Radio 101.1 FM Uyo, revolving around you.
Doctor, Mr. Isaac's current predicament has nothing to do with the food he ate at Yabasira's Buka?
No, it doesn't, Barrister. The test shows that his reactions are caused by some food allergies he isn't aware of. Some people here ate that food, but they don't have any pains or running stomach.
Yes. The food sweet, saute, I chop extra. Isn't this similar to taking the COVID-19 vaccine?
Exactly. Reactions after getting the COVID-19 vaccine can vary from person to person. The reactions are usually mild and would clear after 1 or 2 days. Most people have no reactions at all, so there isn't anything wrong with the vaccine. It's just how your body reacts to it.
What is it going to be? Would you avoid taking the vaccine because of the reactions? Or would you do it for love? Protect yourself, family, friends, and community from COVID-19. Get vaccinated sharply.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Do it for love.
Ujai, na fun bombi se.
Papa se mimi. Papa, ayi mimi ntiro ya bibi o tuwuro we pa.
Mkonje betuwuro ri onge sekanje no ton kompore.
Papa, eto radio mo ko toboro.
Me mananje mejem.
Papa sino nto.
Ujai, so for Tough Media Group, Monsignor Planet Radio 101.1 FM, me Spectrum TV, ASU Fam Radio.
Papa, amo isi memo. Nso yu nso di sanyem.
Ujai says your tension 102.7 FM edi. Pe tension 102.7 FM. Ruke nko. Enam kiko irngodi mbon kontipe. Neme boro mbrikpa mbinga mikwo. Ruke nko. Ade kiko irngodi.
Oh, Papa, I don't say your radio ya bibi ya umaidem. Ami bigi memo.
Oh, mmono Akwa Ibom. Anyị ni kopom kwasi tie ntomokpa. Sword. Ebe ngidem. Tension 102.7 FM. Ekene tang.
The People's Parliament is brought to you courtesy of JIA Outdoor Services. JIA Outdoor Services, a member of the Embarkers Group, owns and manages billboards and advertising services in and outside Akwa Ibom State. Why not visit them today or call this number 0803-741-2340. JIA Outdoor Services, a member of the Embarkers Group.
to happen live in the city of Rio on the 29th of January 2023. Is a big platform for us to get to hear from these politicians who are seeking to lead us going forward. And of course, we have the comrade, the chairman of the committee, Comrade Nyekan, live in the floor of the House. We also have Parliamentarian Trofon Morgan, and of course, the House leader, Remonita, is here. Let's start this part of the conversation with more contributions from parliamentarians. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the floor of the House. Okay. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary. Good morning, parliamentarian.
The final.
Briefly, please.
You. Can stop. And we must to be it.
All right, many thanks to you. Hello, good morning. Welcome to the plenary. Good morning, parliamentarian.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay, seems the parliamentarian can't get to hear us. Let me come back to you, Parliamentarian Utrofon, on the issue of the new Naira. I know that you are a financial expert in your capacity, but tell us, how would you react to the fact that the banks and the CBN are currently going back and forth as to whether or not we have a significant amount of the new Naira for them to phase out the old Naira as a legal tender?
Okay, Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, just like I discussed with some people, this is simply a situation where the CBN has failed to dialogue and relate with the banks very well. Mr. Speaker, one of the functions of the CBN is that they are the bankers to the government and they're also the bankers' bank. So they are the last resort, lenders of last resort. So the CBN is supposed to manage the economy very well. So if, in this case, we are hearing a situation that you plan to phase out a particular currency, a particular note at a particular time, until today, commercial banks cannot have those new Naira notes in their vault. It simply shows that there was no a good relationship. There was no good commitment between the banks and the central bank. Mr. Speaker, in this country, we know that the present CBN governor almost contested for president. That means he was distracted. He has been involved politically. He almost contested. So I'm sure that has affected the relationship. Recently, we saw where the DSS declared him wanted. Everywhere they said he was to be arrested. I'm sure that affected the issue. The CBN had come up to say that we want to phase out this Naira so that it will fight inflation, fight insecurity, help to fight insecurity where bandits get money from people, and also reduce the money that is outside the banking vault. We have over 7 trillion is outside the banking vault, which is really bad for an economy. There are ways you do this. There's something that we call a conventional monetary policy. That is what he's trying to do, trying to tell the banks, take this money, the old money from your customers and give them this loan. But Mr. Speaker, there's something that is also called unconventional monetary policies, where we talk about moral suasion. When you are saying you want to force a bank, as in a bank, to bring out a notes that they don't have, that means you are looking for a problem. And people have started shouting now that it should be postponed. Mr. Speaker, in Nigeria, nothing ever stands the dates that we ask. We are talking about voters registration, it's always continuous. We're talking about name, you fix a date, it has never stand. Every day we keep moving from one date to shift the dates. So Mr. Speaker, it shows that there is no cohesion. The two of them are not working hand in hand. And we have seen where 2 governors have already called that this should be shifted. And we also know that this was also a way of fighting vote buying. So it simply shows that the politicians are doing things that we might not know. So as a parliamentarian, what we're also going to do is that we are going to say, God, help us. Let there be money in circulation. Because if this continues and corporations, market women, people don't receive this own Naira note, that means we are going to stop somewhere. The train is going to stop somewhere, and it's going to be very, very difficult and bad for the economy. So the CBN has to work very hard between these few days to the dates of that they have fixed, the deadline. They are going to work very hard to get the new currency out.
Now, do you see a possibility of the CBN being able to supply enough new Naira notes to the banks across Nigeria to phase out the old currency as a legal tender?
Sure, it's very possible. It's very possible. In this country, we saw how Akwa Ibom government built a swimming pool because the police were coming for an event in less than 1 month. So, Mr. Speaker, anything that government wants to do, they will always do it. Anything that is about, that concerns them, they are going to do it. The only one that they will not do is the one that concerns us. But the one that concerns government, they will do it. Mr. Speaker, if the banks, if the commercial deposit money banks now have an arrangement, I'm sure there's something happening. Just like the fuel crisis that we are having presently, there's nothing happening apart from someone doing something that we don't know in the public. A cabal doing something. So when the deposit money banks agree with the CBN, you start seeing this money coming out. Mr. Speaker, we are in Nigeria. We know what happens in Nigeria. This is a Nigerian factor. Somebody wants to get something, and that is why we are in this fix. So I'm very sure that the CBN, when they have meetings with leaders of these banks, that money is going to start flying. Mr. Speaker, but also, if we now look at the timing, 5-6 days that we have left to almost 9 days to
the deadline.
If CBN wants to postpone like the Nigerian factor, we are still here. So that, but the information has to come out early so that, because now some fuel stations, you even take the new Naira note, they will look up, look down, whether it's because if the money doesn't come out fast, people will not even know which one is the fake, or this is the time to make money. People that do fake Naira notes, you can do it now because people are not really aware of how it looks like.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I can. Okay.
We lost that call. Sorry, connection has been a little bit bad with that particular line. Over to you, House Leader.
Yes, I keep making reference to what the IMF said immediately after President Buhari approved the new Naira redesign, and the arising questions were if the CBN did their own work properly, because in the view of the IMF, the timing of the redesign of the Naira note, shouldn't have happened. I was watching the PMB scorecard series, the recent one conducted by the Ministry of Information, and Lai Mohammed, in his own projections, said Nigeria would have an economic growth percentage of 3.9%. That's about 10% below what the IMF and the World Bank projected for Nigeria for 2023, which is 2.9%. So I was wondering, are they saying this just to buy over the support of Nigerians heading into the elections? Because you cannot know better than the IMF. When we're short of money, we run to the IMF and the World Bank for loans, and then we come back here and design our own projections for how our economy should run, when the state of our own currency cannot even be compared to global currencies out there. It's really worrying for me. I think the timing of this decision to redesign the Naira was uncalled for, in my opinion, and I think it's something the CBN has to go back to the drawing board to revisit. But it's already been approved, so we can cry over spilled milk, but rather see ways to address the anomaly that this policy has actually brought, because it's going to affect a whole lot of people, including those in government coffers, and that's why a lot of them are crying foul about this decision. Professor Ise Shage recently also said Godwin Emefiele is acting as a mole within the APC because he feels this policy would hamper the APC's chances of winning the next general elections, because he feels, in his own words, that it has made Nigerians hate, that's the word he used, hates the APC for occasioning hardship on them, courtesy of this new policy. So if the APC within themselves are having a go at each other because of this policy, I keep asking, was President Buhari properly briefed about the new Naira redesign before he eventually approved it? The answer is no. Otherwise, why is the National Assembly calling the CBN governor to explain this policy days after it was designed or approved This should have happened long before the president gave his approval. Why is the Governors Forum asking for a meeting with Emefiele weeks and months after the new Naira redesign was approved? This should have happened long before it was actually done. So it makes nonsense of the whole policy, if you ask me. And I think the only way out is for the CBN to just extend, because I said earlier on, it's already been approved. There's no going back on this. But they just have to extend the deadline so that the money could be circulated even further for most Nigerians to reach out to. Otherwise, we'll have a financial crisis on our hands.
Well, what's in the street is that the elites, the members of parliament, sometimes sleep on their responsibilities until things get done, and then they wake up with an afterthought, oh, we should have probed this before actually bringing it to become a law. We saw that happening within the 2022 Electoral Act, where most provisions within the law were not properly, or seem to have not been properly understood by the legislatures themselves, which of course led to the different court cases, that we've witnessed in Nigeria during this electioneering activities. But let's move away from that. And I'm wondering, as a parliamentarian at this point in time, between the issue of the new Naira note and the fact that the APC government came into power, promising to change the electricity supply, promising to change the insecurity status of the country, promising to change our economy, promising to change the health sector, and lots of other lofty promises that they made to Nigerians. And yet, with just a couple of months left, Nigeria seemed to have been worse than it was when the APC leadership took over from the then President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. And I want to come to you, Comrade Anyeken, because I know you have been a keen follower of the political development in Nigeria. Judging Nigeria from what it was during the Jonathan administration and the present after almost 8 years of the APC-led administration, as a Nigerian, which of this era would you want to go back to?
This is one terrain I'm trying to run away from. But Mr. Speaker, I think you've caught me off guard because I can't run. I'm in the studio. I have to speak. I'm interested in what is happening in the politics of Nigeria. I'm not just only an interested party. I read it as a degree in from the University of Benin. I read political science and public administration, and so I understand the dynamics of what is happening in Nigeria. For the Jonathan administration, the thing that has become common in Nigeria is that we celebrate leaders after they have left office. And so the same Jonathan administration that you're referring me to, they called him clueless. They called him all manners of names, and they said he was not the best that for Nigeria, that Nigeria needed a change. And in fact, in 2015, the campaign was anything other than Jonathan. Anything other than Jonathan. And when he left, almost 8 years down the line, in fact, it was even rumored that the APC wanted Jonathan as his successor.
Yes, as at last year.
Yes, as at last year. And so if I sit here and I tell you that, the administration of Buhari has been terrible, look, we just pray that in the next 4 years, after 2023, we don't refer to Buhari's administration as the best. So that's the dynamics of Nigeria. We called Jonathan all sort of names and said, Nigerians were suffering and Jonathan left. Now we are calling Buhari all sort of names. Nigerians are suffering. My prayer is that it should not just be a trend in Nigeria, that the next administration that will be coming between now and 2027, if Mr. Speaker is in the studio, he would not ask me to compare that. Nigerians are saying that, Buhari's administration was so good. And that's why I think I wrote an article recently and I said President Buhari on the path of heroic bow. And I said, for us in Nigeria, one of the things that made Jonathan to be remembered was his ability to accept defeat. Even before INEC announced the result, President Jonathan called President Buhari and conceded. And it saved this nation from the brink of what would have been a very serious violence. So, for President Muhammadu Buhari, all he needs to do to erase whatever sin, just like Jonathan's sin was erased in just one day, just because a sitting president had lost the re-election and he congratulated the winner without having to go through what happened with Laurel Gbagbo. And so it's something that he is remembered for. Today, Jonathan is an international good boy because very many countries are calling him to come and make contributions about their democracy. For President Muhammadu Buhari, he has a chance to deliver a credible election to Nigerians. And just like Trayvon has been speaking, I don't speak in areas I don't have competence. So if you ask me about the new Naira note, that I don't know, but the only thing I know is that I look at things from the political economy angle, because I also did political economy. Look, redesigning the Naira close to election would help us reduce the incident of vote buying. That it might just have been the only intention that Buhari has. I remember that somebody had challenged him, a sitting president, to say that he made him president. And so now that people had made him president, the people that want to contest now should make themselves president, because they already know how to make people president. So for Muhammadu Buhari, if the only understanding he had on the redesign of the Naira was that it would take away the monies that politicians have stacked, it was until the design of the Naira note came out that we began to see mutilated money. We began to see people digging out money from the different places. Look, in this state, in 2015, in 2014, a politician gave me money to pay for a program, about 1 million to pay for a program that he had on our station, Atlantic FM at that time. And that money, in 2014, had had 2003 date on the money. So it meant that this politician in 2014 was spending 2003 notes. So he has not even reached 2014. So you cannot tell how much some of them have stacked from when they began to know that in 2023 they will run for election. And you know that the current Electoral Act, the only window to manipulate election is vote buying. And I had said in a forum, in a BBC forum, when I had the opportunity to speak after I did a program for the BBC, the Strengthening Citizens' Engagement in the Electoral Process, SCIP. In closing up that program, I said that one significant improvement that has happened for elections in Nigeria is the incident of vote buying. That vote buying is an improvement on our electoral system. And the audience almost wanted to eat me raw. And I said, look, do you realize that in this country, in this same country, a sitting president benefited from an election and came out and said the election was flawed? Late Mr. Yaradua, he came out and he said the election that produced him was flawed. In the history of Nigeria, the 2007 election conducted by Professor Morris, who happens to be the worst election in our nation's history. Are you also aware that even as at 2015, the win margins by some governors, some politicians, none of them have been able to repeat the same margin? And some of these results were just written, and there was no recourse to what happened at the polling unit. At the polling unit, you just sit down, somebody will just take the ballot box, run away, create violence, but results will come out from those units. And so, if we now have a situation where the politicians have started buying the vote of the people, it now means that vote counts. So, a very significant improvement in our own kind of elections is vote buying. It has returned power to the people. Then, when you solve the problem of votes of individuals counting, you can now address the problem of vote buying, and you can begin to condemn it. But you also know that we're in a country where the political class have weaponized poverty. That you can't even, Mr. Speaker, you don't have the courage to tell somebody in your village that they want to give 10,000 not to receive on election day. Because that woman may just come there leaving 6 children at home without knowing what to eat next. And she comes on the day of the election, somebody's giving her 10,000 and you're telling her, no, it is not good. I don't have the different 10,000 to give the people in my unit. So I'd rather tell them that if a politician gives you 10,000, he may not even give you up to that. If he gives you 5,000 for a mandate of 4 years, it translates to 3 Naira per day. And that 5,000 he has given you, he gave the people who made him candidate, not the president, not the governor of his state. He gave some of them as alleged $25,000. So if you want your vote to be bought, start from $50,000 and let them buy $50,000 and you'll be justified. Because the man who is buying your vote for 5,000 naira, the first day he's sworn into office, he is entitled to at least 15 fleets of brand new cars that the minimum will be about 50 million on his fleet. The House of Assembly member is instantly given a Jeep that he did not buy when he was a citizen. But because he has offered to serve, the state now sees him deserving of a Prado Jeep, costing over 50 million. And so you have just been given 5,000. So I tell my people, look, this money has nothing to improve you. And so I just, Mr. Speaker, my heart desires that we get it right.
Definitely. I take that as your final comment to Akwa Ibom people, very passionate. I come to you, Parliamentarian Utrofon Morgan, briefly please, so we can excuse the House Leader.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, just like the House Leader said, the negotiation that they had between when the House of National Assembly wanted to meet with the CBN, that was also very wrong. Because CBN is supposed to be independent. The only problem is that the CBN governor had mixed itself up with politics. So that's why they have the effrontery to say should have come to address. Normally, CBN should have done this thing with time limits. And now we're even talking about cashless economy, which is the best way to go. But we have to do a lot of things. How about the small person that is selling something in the village, like a goat? You say you can't withdraw up to 40,000, and goat is 40,000. You can't withdraw up to 20. So it puts the people at a very serious problem.
All right, thank you very much, Parliamentary and the Trofan. And then you can step out.
Yes, a couple of comments on our Facebook page. Also, Francis Namani is watching live from Amagunze in Enugu State. Says, good morning, Mr. Speaker. On the shortage of new Naira notes, I'm calling on the CBN to kindly extend the deadline for the submission of old Naira notes to curtail unnecessary pressure and stress. And this one says, Mr. Speaker and House Leader, the planned governorship debate is a step in the right direction, provided all candidates are treated equally and no preferential treatment given to any of the candidates. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
All right, thank you very much. And that's the size of how much we can entertain on the floor of the House this morning. Many thanks to Comrade Aniakan for coming to the floor of the House to educate Akwa Ibom on the 2023 governorship debate that is scheduled for next. And the Parliamentarian Telephone, many thanks to you. And you who join us on the phone lines and, of course, through the Facebook page, we appreciate you. Do have a very beautiful week ahead. God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. God bless Akwa Ibom State. Remember, your vote counts. Do not sell your vote. Bye-bye.